Okay, so have you ever, have you ever just sat there with a cup of coffee, like a really good cup of coffee?
You mean like more than just your average cup?
Yeah, yeah, not just your morning fuel,
Right.
but like the kind that makes you slow down. Like you get those aromas and you almost have to close your eyes to really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. It's an experience.
That's what a master coffee roaster does. Yeah, they create that experience.
It's like they speak some kind of secret language hidden within the bean or something.
Exactly, exactly. And today, that's what we're diving into. What does it really take to be a master coffee roaster? We're going to be looking at some resources from RoleCatcher, you know them, the career platform.
Yeah, I've heard of them, sure.
So they've got a whole bunch of stuff, a career guide specifically for master coffee roasters, interview tips, even how tech is changing things up in the coffee world.
Oh, wow. The tech angle's interesting. That's pretty much every field now, though, right?
Right. Okay, so first up, let's break down what RoleCatcher says a master coffee roaster actually does. Because, it's got to be more than just brewing, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Way more. RoleCatcher says they're like artists and scientists. Like they aren't just making a pot of coffee, they're designing whole styles of coffee.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what? Like they come up with the flavor profiles and everything?
And making sure those blends are consistent, like with almost crazy precision.
Wow, that makes a lot more sense now thinking about how specialty coffee has blown up.
Right.
People want something unique these days. They want single origin, all that. They're not just drinking coffee, they're experiencing it. I guess the master coffee roaster is kind of like their guide in that world.
Totally. So it's like instead of just going to any restaurant,
Yeah.
you seek out this like Michelin star chef
Right.
who's going to create this whole culinary journey.
Exactly, exactly. And like with fancy food, you've got the artistry and the innovation. Master coffee roasters are experimenting with all these different beans, different origins, different roasting techniques to make these unique flavor profiles.
And RoleCatcher really does compare them to chefs.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's not all, glamorous, right? They get into the realities of the job, too.
Well, yeah, gotta keep it real.
Long hours, tough work. They talk about lifting these heavy sacks of beans, calibrating the machines. You're on your feet a lot.
And you constantly have to be refining your palate, right? Making sure you can taste all those subtle differences.
Oh, yeah. And then there's the job market itself. It's super competitive.
I can imagine. So you might be dreaming of making your own signature blend, sharing it with the world, which, yeah, sounds amazing, but you have to be ready to hustle.
Definitely not a walk in the park.
Yeah.
And that's where that whole science piece comes in, understanding the how and the why behind the roast.
Yeah, that's the master part of Master Coffee Roaster. So you're working hard, you're passionate, but then how do you actually get hired? How do you convince someone you're not just a coffee enthusiast, you're a master coffee roaster?
All right, so that's where these RoleCatcher resources get really interesting. They've got this whole section on interview prep.
Oh, okay, like sample questions and stuff.
Yeah, but like really specific questions. They've got this huge database they pull from, and some of the stuff for master coffee roasters, it's intense.
I bet. They're trying to weed out the amateurs.
Exactly. So like one question they highlight is, how do you determine the roast profile for a particular coffee bean?
Oh, wow. Okay, so already getting technical.
Right. And for anyone who doesn't know, roast profile, that's basically how you're roasting those beans to get a specific flavor. It's not just like dump them in and hope for the best.
No, not at all. I mean, you've got to consider where those beans are from, right? Different regions, different varieties. They all have their own characteristics.
Yeah, and the processing methods too, like was it washed, was it natural, all that changes things. And a good master coffee roaster knows how to adjust, right? The time, the temperature, even the airflow while it's roasting.
It's about bringing out those unique flavors that are already in the bean.
Totally. Like you don't want to over-roast an Ethiopian yirgacheffe. You'll lose those delicate floral notes.
Exactly. And I bet that's what those interviewers are looking for. Not just our right answer, but do you understand the why behind it?
It's that whole science thing again. And that was just one question. Another one that stood out to me was, can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a coffee roasting issue?
Oh, interesting. So thinking on your feet.
Right. Like what if a batch is roasting differently than usual? Or maybe a piece of equipment isn't working quite right.
You got to figure out what's going wrong and fix it, like fast.
Exactly. You're a coffee detective. You're using your senses, the smell, the color of the beans, even the sounds the roaster's making.
I like that. But you know what's cool? RoleCatcher actually has this AI thing where you can practice your answers, even on video, and then it'll give you feedback.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it's like having your own personal coach. It'll analyze everything, like your body language and how you're delivering your answers.
That's wild. Okay, but let's be honest. Even if you nail the interview, the coffee world is, well, it's kind of exploding right now, right?
Huge.
How do you actually stand out when there are so many talented people all going for the same jobs?
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. We're talking about using technology to your advantage, which honestly is what RoleCatcher is all about.
Yeah, and they would know, right? I mean, they said it themselves, they have over 3,000 career guides on their platform. And get this, something like 120,000 interview questions.
Seriously.
Yeah, and their employer database, it's massive. They said 9 million. 9 million employers. Just shows you how data-driven everything is becoming.
And coffee's no exception. But like, how does RoleCatcher actually use all that data to help people?
9 million is kind of hard to wrap your head around. But it shows you the scale of it all, right?
It's a whole other world behind our coffee, and
Yeah.
RoleCatcher's point is you kind of have to get tech savvy to really make it in this field now.
So for those listening who are like, okay, I want to be a master coffee roaster,
Yeah.
what does that look like? Using tech to your advantage.
It's about more than just having a resume, you know? You want a digital presence, something that shows you're passionate, shows what you can do.
Okay, so how do you actually do that?
Well, you could, for example, have an online portfolio, like a showcase for your blends.
I like that.
You could have tasting notes, photos of your process, even videos where you're talking about your inspirations.
Because people can try your coffee digitally.
In a way, yeah. They get a feel for your style, your approach, all before they even taste the coffee.
That's cool. What about social media? Everyone's on social media these days.
Huge, exactly. Share your journey. Did you experiment with a new bean? Did you visit a coffee farm? What are you thinking about the latest trends? Share it.
So you're connecting with people, showing you're part of the community.
Right, right. And this is where it gets even cooler. RoleCatcher's AI, it can actually help you with this stuff.
No way, really?
Yeah, yeah. It can analyze job descriptions, see what employers want. Then it'll suggest ways to work those keywords, those skills into your resume, your portfolio, even your social media.
So it's like having like a coffee career coach, but it's AI.
Basically. It's all about using what's out there to your advantage.
So it's this interesting blend, right? The art of coffee, but then all this tech behind it.
Definitely. It's tradition meeting innovation.
It really is. Well, we've covered a lot. Anything else you'd like to add about becoming a master coffee roaster? What's the one thing you hope people take away from this?
You know, it's more than just a job. It's a craft. It's an art. But like with anything you're passionate about, you got to put in the work. Learn the science, experiment, and don't be afraid to embrace the new stuff, the technology that can help you along the way.
It's a great reminder for anything, really, not just coffee. Passion's important, but knowing how to navigate that world to really make your mark, that's key.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you never know, with the right blend of skill and strategy, your coffee dreams might be closer than you think.
I love it. Well, there you have it, folks. Until next time, happy coffeeing.